Can I get for you?
Hiya, can I get a frozen melon pearl refresher, please?
Yeah, anything else?
Almond croissant, please.
Yeah, anything else?
No, that's everything, thank you. Thanks a lot. I have just been to the office where I work for the last time to hand in my laptop because I'm not returning after adoption leave. Let me get my Starbucks and then we can chat. Thanks a lot. Please leave a message after the tone. That looks very, very nice and is apparently new. Wow. Refreshing. I've got a sneaky suspicion she's not warmed up my croissant. That is criminal not to have warmed that up. I will inhale it nevertheless. Let's get into it. Before I went on adoption leave, I was working full time for a third party career. And it was office based before COVID, and then it kind of went home based, hybrid working, that type of situation. But yeah, this coming November, I would have been working there for 15 years, so it's kind of liberating actually leaving, but also very, very daunting. Like, I never ever saw myself working there for that long, but that job served me so well over the last 15 years for different reasons. And me leaving there is bittersweet because I've made lifelong friendships there. But it was definitely the right time and definitely the right thing to do, I think, I hope. But let me tell you a little bit about it. So when I went on adoption leave, the plan was always for me to return to work after it. The plan was for me to do the statutory maternity leave, but as adoption leave plus 3 months unpaid. So I left in June last year with every intention of going back into my role. My department bought me flowers and a couple of little outfits for Pops. I got 90% of my wage for the first 6 weeks. Then it dropped to statutory maternity pay or adoption pay, which is the same. I think it's £180 a week or £181 a week, which gives you about £800 a month as standard. That ran out in April, so in April, May and June I was unpaid from work. And it's worth me mentioning as well that I've never been the higher earner in my family. Tom has always earned a hell of a lot more than I have. I, as a supervisor, was actually earning just a smidgen over minimum wage, which is not great. But like I said, that job served me for so long, for so many different reasons. When I started at that job, when I was 21, it was amazing. It was the best place I'd worked because everybody was my age. I was living for the weekend at that time, still living at home, and making the most amount of money wasn't really a priority for me. It was just like working somewhere that I enjoyed, making friends and going out at a weekend. That was kind of it. What I want to say is that from me starting that job, it was like building blocks bit by bit to me gaining some independence in my life over like 5 years. So I met Tom, we moved out together, we then got Eric, our cat, together, we bought our first house together, I'd passed my driving test, and all these things were aligning, and I was really coming into my own and gaining my independence. I would say that happened around like 24, 25. Alongside working full time, I started to go to college in an evening to get my science and maths GCSE that I didn't actually get in school. I hated school and I used to wag it all the time. I hated that school environment. So going back to college and getting those qualifications that I needed to gain me access to a uni course I wanted to do was like the next building block. And then I started my uni degree, passed my first year, passed my second year, and I was well on my way to finishing my degree and doing my teacher training and becoming an early years teacher, which is what I had my sights set on at that time. I also had my sights at that time set on having a family, and I always thought, oh, if I'm a reception teacher, that will be perfect because no matter what Tom's doing in his career, which I knew would always include some travel, I would have a stable, solid career for having a family, and I would always get half terms and 6-week holidays off. That's what I always had in the back of my mind. I was just thriving in life. I was working full time at this job that I loved, doing loads of overtime, as well as my degree, and in my own house with a pet to look after, in a secure relationship, and yeah, it just felt great. And then cancer came along and smashed that tower of building blocks that I'd been putting together for 5 years just into smithereens. When cancer had happened, not just once but twice the year after, and for anybody that's new, it was cervical cancer the first time and breast cancer the second time, I had a serious amount of healing to do. The tower had been completely knocked over and I was starting afresh, one block at a time, starting with therapy. I did cognitive behavioural therapy. I was really struggling with depression and anxiety around that time. I'd been told that I was infertile, so it was kind of getting my head around the fact that I knew I would never carry a baby, and that was a lot for me to take, and something that I really, really struggled with, alongside the fact that I couldn't look ahead to the future. I was too scared to do that. So the concept of picking up my degree where I left off was just a no-go for me. I felt like the trauma had completely erased everything I'd learned, to be honest, over those first 2 years of my degree. That just was not an option for me going back to uni at that point. What I wanted to do at that point was get some normality, and having that job to me was everything, because I knew it like the back of my hand. It was the easiest job ever. I had friends there. My manager was really understanding. It was definitely my safe space for a long time. Even when I got myself into a space of going back to work and feeling like I could work full time again, I still didn't have the confidence to leave. How would any other employer understand that I have to get up to go to the toilet so many times a day? How would any other employer understand my health history of having cancer twice before? I knew what I was getting at that workplace. I knew that I had understanding people around me. I mean, financially, I wasn't looked after. There was literally no sick pay policy. So I went from earning full time to going on statutory sick pay, which was a massive drop and not ideal when we'd just bought a house and everything. But luckily Tom had a good job. If he hadn't have had a good job, I'd have been screwed at that point. I'm not saying this job was the be all and end all, but for me it was my only route back to getting some control back over my life, because I felt like everything else was out of control, if that makes sense. I'm really getting a little bit deep here, but I feel like I need to show how much of a long way I've come to be able to have had the confidence to hand in my notice. There are a few factors into why I have handed in my notice. One being, what was a very secure job isn't really anymore. My workplace have made redundancies recently, and it's resulted in a lot of my department being affected whilst I was on maternity leave and before that. My intention would only ever have been to go back part-time, because with me only earning a smidgen over minimum wage, I would have literally been paying to put Pops in nursery had I done any more than 15 hours a week, which is what is funded. So when we started looking at nurseries, that's when I feel like it really hit me. I've got to go back to work. I need to think about what I'm going to do here. Am I going to just go back and not want to and be unhappy, or am I going to do something different? I do have a plan B. I am going to be working by the way. I'm just going to be working very, very flexibly. I feel very, very fortunate to be in this position where I found something that I can really work around Pops, because I feel like now that is what I'm going to be doing. I can't see me going back to uni anytime soon. I would urge anybody that wants to just throw themselves into education after maybe not doing very well in school, do it, because it will not only build your self-esteem and your confidence. When you were 15 and 16, yeah, you may have not been able to reach your full potential academically, but now might be the right time to do something and learn something new. Yeah, it's something that I really don't regret doing, because like I said, it did so much for my confidence and showed me actually I was way more clever than I gave myself credit for in school. I was doing really, really well with that degree. had cancer not come along, I probably would have been a teacher now, but then would I have the life that I have now? Probably not either. So, but yeah, my work were making redundancies. Literally everybody that I loved there was leaving. And with that job, I just got to a point where I was just clinging on because I was scared to death of going for other interviews or having the confidence to branch out and do something different. Honestly, since becoming a mum and going through the adoption process and everything, healing from all the infertility stuff, moving on through life after cancer has just bit by bit helped my self-esteem grow more and more and more, and I'm feeling like now I know I can do anything, and I really do feel like that. One thing I won't be doing is trying to make more money from YouTube and try to make this into a career. YouTube for me has always been a hobby, and whilst I'm getting more and more subscribers all the time, I'm quite happy with the growth of where it is. I don't want loads and loads of growth, because loads of growth comes with loads of trolls and I don't want that. I am quite happy with my little channel as it is, and should people stumble across it and have something in common with me and join, that is like the main goal for me. I think for me to be able to actually earn anything proper from YouTube, I would need to be uploading 2 videos a week consistently. Honestly, I love uploading once a week, but twice a week I think I would find really difficult, because I couldn't look at myself for that long to be honest. Editing videos, I just couldn't do it, and I couldn't listen to myself for that long either, and a hobby would turn into something that I think I would resent. So that's not what I want to do. But I have found something which is like a happy medium. It allows me to be creative, but it means that I don't have to put my face out there, and it's called UGC. So if you don't know what that is, it's still content creation, but it is user generated content. So it basically means that you will work for brands. They could send you, let's just say, a candle, for example, and you will take different images of that candle, you will take videos, you will create reels for them to post on their social medias that you don't have to. It doesn't pay very well, don't get me wrong. I am having to do a lot of it, and I've had to, over the last few months, do a lot of gifted collaborations to try and get my portfolio up to scratch. But I'm basically going to be going self-employed doing that sort of stuff. I'm hoping it's going to last at least until Pops is in school. So I've got 2 years until she goes to school. And if it falls flat on its face, I feel capable and happy enough and confident enough to go for an interview, whether that be at Starbucks or somewhere like that, to just pick up a few shifts while she's in school, if that's what ends up happening. It is a risk leaving my job, definitely, and it's daunting, but at the same time, if I don't do it now, when will I? And when will I ever have the opportunity again to only have Pops in childcare for 2 mornings a week, and still be able to earn a bit of money flexibly? Like, I don't feel like that opportunity is going to come around again anytime soon. So I've had a chat with Tom about it. He's on board 100%. Like I said, if I'd have gone back to my old job, I would have been asking to go back part-time, and I don't think they would have let me go back as a supervisor part-time, which would have meant that the next time they do redundancies, I would have been up for the chop. And I think that's inevitably coming anyway for my role. Nothing's been said, but the math is mathing, and I think that is what's next. I don't really want to stick around for it. As much as I've made amazing friends there, and I've got so much respect for people that I've worked for and with over the last 15 years, and it's bittersweet leaving because it's everything that I know from being a young adult. I definitely feel like this is the right thing to do, and like I said, if I end up where I'm struggling to make the equivalent of what I would have done part-time in those short hours that Pops is at nursery, and in the evenings and weekends, which is when I've been working when she's in bed and stuff, then it will be a case of me looking for a job doing something else part-time until she's in school. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. A couple of other things to update you on. My best friend has had her baby girl. She's called Emily. My firstborn niece is called Emily, and I just think it's the most gorgeous name. I haven't met her yet. My bestie has been having a time of it since she gave birth. She's been in and out of hospital, and I cannot wait to have a catch up with her. I miss her so much, and I can't believe she's a mummy and I've not seen her since she became a mum. My baby nephew is due in 10 weeks time. That is so exciting. What else have I got to tell you? I was going to give it like 6-8 weeks before I gave my verdict on this Skin and Me skincare, by the way. I am absolutely loving it. One of you girls left a comment in my last video saying that you'd ordered it. I hope it works for you as well as it's worked for me. Did you see my skin in the last video and how spotty it was? To be fair, the light in here is quite good and you can't even like see my freckles or anything. But I have no makeup on like my skin. I've done my eyebrows, I've done my lip liner, I've got a bit of Carmex on my lips, and I've done my mascara, but all I've got is my Skin and Me like skincare products, and then a bit of my Garnier Glow SPF over the top, but I don't have any bronzer on, I don't have any blush on, and look at the glow on the FOD. What on earth? That was pimply and red and blotchy. Like I said, this camera doesn't pick up what my skin actually looks like properly. Let me put a little video here of the one that I took on my phone, which was the day I started Skin and Me. I had all red spots here. My pores were big. To be fair, I've not seen a reduction in my pores yet, but all the pimples on my head and all the dry patches have gone. My skin feels nicer than it's ever felt, honestly. I'm happy to recommend it now because I think it's amazing so far. Look at my FOD and how like glowy it is. Being in menopause as well, I suffer with real like dullness in my skin, but even my mum said the other day your skin's looking nice, and I feel like it is as well. I think some of the redness is already dying down. It's only been 2 weeks. So if you want to get your first daily dose at £4.99 plus all of the free mini samples of all the skincare I've been using, so that's the day serum, the moisturiser, the SPF, the cleanser and your daily doser for £4.99. Click the link in the description box, I'll put it in the comments as well, and I will put my discount code on here. If you just want to go straight to the Skin and Me website and use that discount code, it will apply the discount at the checkout. You will see this where it's basically made all your samples free. I'm going to keep taking progress videos of my skin though every couple of weeks so that I can see myself how it's changing. I'll let you know how I continue to get on with it. Take this as your sign to go and treat yourself to an almond croissant and a frozen refresher. Thank you for watching this video. I've got a Mounjaro update coming next, so I'm letting you know how I got on holiday with Mounjaro and what's happened since I've got back, on my weight loss update. So, and I will see you soon. Bye bye. Mwah.